Yes. But all of it, to your point, is like trying to harness this force outside of us to give us something that we feel like we don't have the power or means or control to do completely on our own.
This is Advice from Strangers, the podcast where we ask people we've never met to solve our most intimate problems. I'm your host, Bridget Kimbrough. Let's do this.
We're live.
And we're live. Welcome back. I know what I'm ready for. And that's some half-baked advice from a sassy hippie witch. So let's make that happen. Joining me as my co-host this week, I am delighted to introduce Darin. And while no stranger to me, he is someone that's a mystery. What I do know about him, what I don't know about him, we're going to explore it all. Darin, darling, how are you doing?
Wow, what an intro. I'm doing good. How are you?
I've done better, all disclosure, but I feel good about that one. I'm good.
I'm a Scorpio, so if you throw the word mystery in there, you've got me.
I don't know what Scorpios are. I feel like they are
We're mysterious.
You're mysterious? Great. I mean, so here's the thing, Darin. We know each other through social situations. We know each other from parties, and you're the person that if something funny is happening in our immediate area, I'll look. And if we catch eyes, I feel like we always laugh at the same things.
Yeah.
And so you have a twinkle, but also a little mischievousness in the twinkle of your eye. I know that you are a sorcerer of sorts, and I feel like you love the earth.
I do. Yeah.
That's
I love to stick my toes into the earth.
Yeah.
And then post pictures of it on social media.
So this podcast, the origins of it are about the universe trying to speak to us, trying to help us and guide us, and that maybe we are tools of the universe. And sometimes the universe is let me take this person and have them deliver this message to you that maybe I've tried to give you in other ways. Maybe you'll listen to this person that you have no other associations with. I am not necessarily connected with the universe. I feel like you are. So how do you feel like you communicate with our larger infrastructure? Or do you communicate with our larger situation?
Yeah, well, I would say I think we're all connected. I think it's just a matter of how much conscious attention we give to it. And so I had dabbled in metaphysics in my 20s and then kind of put it aside when I moved to Atlanta. And then about 10 years ago, the story I tell to friends is the universe all of a sudden just turned the volume up. I was experiencing so many coincidences in such a short amount of time and with such intensity that I couldn't ignore them. And that's kind of when I got back into things, and I had never even thought about witchcraft before, which is ironic because when I was little, all I wanted to be was a witch, and every single Halloween I was a witch. And but it just was, I don't know why it was never in my consciousness. I grew up, during the New Age movement, and then there was the Satanic Panic, so maybe witchcraft was, anyway, for whatever reason, I got into it and it really clicked with me, and it's a way for me to really connect to the earth, the natural cycles, to spirit, and I have to say, once I started paying conscious attention to it, and there's various exercises and skills that you can develop, shit starts happening. So
I mean, I'm so interested. What kind of shit happens? I mean, I'm sure very initially, like, I was like, I want my life to be the craft. I want to be one of those girls. And I want to levitate. I want to make something
You thought that after
levitate.
seeing the movie?
Huh?
You thought that after seeing the movie The Craft?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
look,
yeah.
I know there was some pros and cons, right? But still, like, yes,
Yeah, I don't
yes.
know. I know a lot of witches who that was kind of their intro. Like for me, it was like Bewitched and Wizard of Oz.
Oh, a classic way in.
Yeah, well, because I'm an old man, but
I mean, the 90s, so the 90s did vampires right,
right.
and they did witchcraft right. They
Yeah,
really did.
yeah, they
Like,
did.
they put some respect on it. They
Yeah.
put some like intelligent teenness like behind it.
Hmm.
Um, so I know there's like what I think it is, and then obviously like what it is. Um, I think I want to use it as power. I want to be able to control something bigger than myself and like make shit happen. What is it actually that you would say you walk away with from that experience of being a witch? Darin's a witch, y'all.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a huge umbrella. If you ask 10 witches, like, what is a witch, you'll get 11 answers. And um, for me, it's more of a spiritual practice. I feel a connection to spirit with it, but it's in a very grounded way, like digging my toes in the dirt. And so when I first realized I wanted to be a witch, I was in my late 40s. I didn't want to fuck around, so I joined a school, and it it was a great experience and what I needed at the time. I had every intention of finishing it, but what I learned very quickly was there was what I was studying, and then I started having spirit communication and stuff, and so like my personal practice like totally went off, and sometimes it aligned with the course material and sometimes it didn't. And so it after a few years it got to the point where i I wasn't so green, and I knew what I wanted and what I didn't want in my practice. And so I quit the school and have just been focusing more on what's immediately around me. So I spend a lot of time in my yard connecting to the land and the spirits in my yard with plants, animals. And so it's more of like an animist perspective now.
So two things, you know, when you say school, we're all thinking Hogwarts, right? Were there outfits? Do you ever get to wear a hat? Tell me about the school.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then,
Well, so it was an online school, but then once a year they had a conference. And so for 3 years in a row, I went up to New Hampshire. And that was a really great experience because I got to meet um, classmates that I had become friends with online. I got to meet the larger community. I got to participate in ritual together.
let's talk about
Um,
rituals.
yeah, um, so
Do you get to dance around naked?
Well, so that's the funny thing. No, we didn't, but some do. But I joke around with friends, and like witchcraft totally made me a nudist. I mean, I was always kind of reserved and shy, and like never liked going to pool parties because I didn't like showing my body or anything. And there's this weird dichotomy now because I still don't like to do that. But anyway, early in my practice, I would at midnight I just go out in my backyard with no clothes on, and and there's something to it, to like making yourself vulnerable, not having anything extraneous on when you're like communing with nature and spirits. And
So okay, and what are you like? Are there sounds like if I live next door to you? Is there anything that would
yeah.
make me go, What is Darin doing out there?
Oh yeah. Oh, I love to burn some shit. I mean, I've probably freaked my neighbors out because I don't have a privacy fence. So like if anyone's like up at midnight, Lord knows what they've seen. But
Yes. That's what I wanted to hear.
I haven't gotten arrested yet, so I guess that's all right. But um uh yeah, I mean, ritual can be as simple or as complex as you want it. So
Yeah. The
yeah.
ritual is what I'm interested in. That's what's seductive to me. Is like I want to
Yeah.
all the things, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
want like chimes or a bowl, and I want to wear a thing, and I want to smell a thing and burn something and say some stuff. Can I just show up and do a ritual with you?
We could do a ritual. Yeah.
I want to do a ritual.
Yeah. Let's do
Yeah.
it. It'll be
Okay.
fun.
Yeah.
Um,
So let's play with a little bit of possible control, controlling our futures and destinies, and tapping in. Darin, are you ready for your topics?
I am. Let's go.
Okay. You are choosing from the following. What should I be doing to attract a man? Do I really have time for feelings? Should I go to therapy if nothing is wrong?
Mm.
Does the universe care about my money?
Mm.
And should I just join a cult?
Should I just join a cult?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a man, so I don't need to choose that. I think I'm gonna choose.
Look, some of these questions are for me too.
I think I'm gonna choose. Does the universe really care about my money or me having money?
My money, yeah.
That sounds really interesting.
Okay, all right.
I do not have to join a cult. Unless, you just want to have some shits and giggles.
I mean, I'd like to run a cult, but that's a different podcast. All right. Hello. Look at you laughing already.
Well, I scared myself.
Did you?
Hello.
Hi. Tina Marie. Oh, please meet Darin. Darin. Tina Marie.
Hi, Darin.
Hi, I love your glasses. Those are so cool.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Tina, thank you for being here. Thank you for patiently waiting.
Of course.
In the waiting room. Our topic today, if you will, Darin has chosen, does the universe really care about my money?
No. No. The universe doesn't know what money is.
Say more. Why? Why do you think that?
Well, I guess it starts with what's your definition of the universe, right? So if I go real ethereal with it, we are tiny specks. We mean nothing. So it doesn't even know what money is. And I think that we think about money a lot as how it places us in relation to each other in society. Mm-hmm. And the reality is the universe is bigger. So
does the universe know what we are?
No, I don't think so. I think we're part of the universe. Oh man, you really picked like a trippy one for somebody that spent a lot of time by themselves in the woods. Thinking about stuff. I think that we are part of the universe. That's a good question. I mean, I like to think about it like ants. Like we're the same thing as ants are to us. Like if you just keep zooming out. Have you ever seen one of those? They're like not illustrations, but like video montages of them just like super zooming out into the actual universe and how small we get and how insignificant we are. And I'm like, oh, well, none of this shit matters. It's just we're just here for a moment in reality. That's like a big existential question that you got.
So, can I jump in?
I would love for you to.
Yeah. So I think one part of it is we live in a capitalist society,
for sure.
So everything kind of revolves around money. Mm-hmm. And is there a way of living outside of that structure. So, so I hate it that we feel like we have to commodify everything, and so the value of anything ends up being related to money. So I hate that because I don't think that's true. But we also like live in that system, and we need money to live. And so, I mean, I know people who have done like prosperity spells and stuff like that, and have gotten results. So,
I mean,
Okay, let's talk about that.
okay, I think that is a different thing. I think that's manifesting, right? And I think that's about channeling energy. I don't know that I necessarily think that the universe is giving you, when you do something like that, exactly what you want. It's showing you a result of where you're channeling your energy, is how I think about it.
Okay, here's my question. You're making a definite, like a distinction, right? So channeling energy, not the universe. But so if I'm channeling my energy, what I'm getting back in my head is from the universe, right? Like I'm putting out an ask, but for it to be received and granted that is the universe, it just in my head, the way, like,
Yeah,
this is not
yeah,
based
yeah.
on any actual definitions. It's the universe that's giving it back to me. So, like, I think it's weird. Like, my initial thought would be like, the universe doesn't give a fuck about your money. But if the universe cares about me, which that's the if, right? That Tina's really presenting, is there's the capital U universe that's so broad that none of us in this is a thing that matters. And I'm thinking my universe, right? So this is still very much, I guess, about like me or us as a center point, and then what's around like our situation. And I'm calling that the universe. Then there's this scenario of no stability and no like whatever in this world without it, then maybe it does. So let's talk about prosperity spells, because also, is that a thing?
Yeah, it
Can
is
I
a
do that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think I think what you just said, I think it comes back to what Tina Marie said about how do you define the universe, and it's also, I mean,
Is there a better term
so
for
what?
like the situation that I'm talking about? Maybe not calling that the universe because it is
Yeah,
so like me
Broad, big.
centric,
Oh,
or
well,
based around like humans and our needs, and calling what's floating around us the universe. Is there maybe a better term for that? We don't have
I
to have
mean,
an
is
answer.
that
I'm just
is
saying.
that not what society is, right? Like that's how we've chosen to structure whatever
Oh,
space we're inhabiting, and
but still the energy and
the
us
energy of
communing
it.
with the things that are bigger than us, that thing,
Sure, sure.
but in our like
Well,
day-to-day
that's
situations. So it's still
that's
human centric, right?
yeah, yeah.
What
That's
were you gonna say?
interesting, right? Because people that don't, I don't know, I come from a very religious background, like my childhood. And so that's like the spirit and God. And so it's interesting the way that everybody can spin that to whatever their interpersonal beliefs are, right? Like
yeah.
it's hard to put a name on it because it's not something we all agree on.
Yeah, which is where I feel like the universe, like, we
It's
can
a
all
point.
we can
It's a
all
neutral
understand
term.
that. Yeah, we can all understand that, and you can define it as something else. If you
Yes,
were
sure,
calling it
sure.
God or Buddha or whatever, and I said, "Can I call it the universe?" Most people would be like, they would sign off on like that.
I think the only reason I push back on that is like if I start getting hippy dippy with my family, which I tend to do, they're like, no, you shut me down. But if I just flip that word to like the spirit or God told me, then they would listen. And so I think that's an interesting like spin on it because the reality is it is all
Mhm.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and that's interesting too, because is that the same thing of like trying to manipulate the system where you're like, well, if I call it God, you'll listen. is that the same thing as me going, hey, universe, give me money?
Well, prosperity spells often when you're casting one of those is because you're looking for reciprocation, and it's the same thing as like a prayer. What are
Exactly.
those called? A prayer chain. I think
Yeah.
that's what it's called. And it's calling for something outside of you to grant you something you lack. I just think it's interesting how it's so opposed when you put it in those terms. Like if I were to tell my mom that I cast a prosperity spell or I manifested my new job, which is a thing that I really have said out loud to people, like I think I manifested that. If I said that to my mom, she would be like, well, God granted you that. So it's
Right.
just an
Yeah.
interesting
She would say, I think
distinction.
the devil licked you or something. But if you say, I started a prayer chain and got this new job, she would say, praise Jesus.
Yes. But all of it, to your point, is like trying to harness this force outside of us to give us something that we feel like we don't have the power or means or control to do completely on our own. Is the way that I think about it.
I need this. Okay, this topic was based off of something somebody said in another episode. And I started to be me and go like, girl, universe don't care about your money. And then I was like, okay, is that a thing? I would like it to be a thing. Also, I need that to happen like right now. And I feel like I need to talk to the two of you. So, like, how would one, now we're shifting the topic. I feel like now is the time to say this because I don't know that we're going to get to it. Darin's a witch. Tina also seems to be apparently a low key witch. So, please, Darin and Tina, tell Bridget, how do I do this? How would I do this? How would I go about this?
Well, first of all, I would say I would be the babiest of witches, so I don't want to take that high crown and put it on my head. But as I've explored my relationship with things that are unexplainable to me, I think that the first thing that I've had to do is kind of like come to my own center and learn to listen to the things that speak to me. That's my, well, what is speaking to me, right? Some people, I don't know, some people work with herbs, others work with like candles. It's the thing that like speaks to what it is that you need. So
As
that's where I'll
far
stop.
as far as what?
To, I guess, my energy.
Sorry,
I
I
don't
mean
know
like
that I,
when you say
I
trying to find the things that speak to you, what do you mean by that?
well, like everything is, this is like not something I've talked about a lot, but like, so your spiritual practice in whatever that looks like, I would say it's the same thing as if we think about it in a traditional church sense, right? Coming from the Catholic Church, you go and light a candle when you say a prayer. It's ritual. It's spiritual energy. And so when I decided to break away from those traditional thoughts of like what spiritual energy was, I didn't have to, but I chose to find a way to find rituals that charged that energy for me. So that's how I started in that practice.
To
Because it
oh, go ahead.
no.
Oh, no, I was going to say to expound upon that a little bit. Like, first of all, I mean, I've been practicing for about 10 years, but no way would I call myself an expert. I would still consider myself a beginner. But part of the allure for me is that like the mystery is never going to end. So it's when magical things do happen, like I never cease to be amazed by it. But what I got from what you were saying and what I learned very quickly was um, if you a lot of people think you can just cast a spell and then it just works and you get what you ask for. And Yeah, sometimes, but I would say most of the time it doesn't work like that. Working with magic or working with spirituality or whatever you want to call it, it demands of you to know yourself and to keep peeling back those layers. And I would say the goal is to, as you do that, you start shedding the conditioning from society or whatever. Sounds so woo, but you start being in flow with the universe or whatever word you want to use. And then you don't have to like work so hard. There's a lot of work to get to that point, but if you're in flow, that's kind of my experience is that's when magic starts happening. Like you start attracting things just start falling into your lap. You start experiencing like coincidences that can't be explained. And it's not an end goal. It's a continual process. Like it's very cyclical, is in my experience. Like, like you're always trying to return to that point of being in flow. Like, does that make any sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. So in that, where does like the specific action of trying to cull a thing? Because my guess would have been like, if you ask the universe for abundance or prosperity and you were deeming it in terms of money and the universe showed up and answered you, it would not be like if you were like, I need money, what you would get would be abundance, but not actually like coin. I also really want to create success and bounty and abundance like in this situation right here. And in others, just in all of my like creative endeavors, and that I think that's a legitimate ask and need. That I'm like, oh, can I ask something? I'm literally going right now. Oh, can I ask something of the universe? Like, because that's not
What?
anything I've ever really done. Like, I grew up in church, but I didn't really pray. You know what I mean? If I prayed, it's like some shit's going down. But
Right.
just the general, like, help me better myself in my life, in my head, that's just like on my back to
Yeah.
grind and do. And I am tired of grinding.
But you are also part of the universe, right? This is where I'm going to go. You're part of the universe, right? So it's like, what part are you playing in moving yourself toward that? Because I think that, like Darin said, it's not as easy as just like casting a spell and being like, okay, let's go smoke a cigarette and wait for whatever we want to
Yeah.
happen. You still have to be an active participant in that and in moving that forward. And I use the word energy a lot, but it's like, um, I was recently laid off for the second time in a row. And when I was looking for a job, I thought a lot about how much of a blow to my ego that was and how it made me question my worth. And so before I interviewed for anything, I made it almost like a ritual where I would light a green candle and then I would write on a piece of paper all of the things that I wanted to remember about myself in the interview to remind myself like I am smart and I am capable and I am creative and I do have a lot to bring to the table. And so in a way that was me like trying to charge myself up so that I could be the best version of that. Because I do think that we have to remember that anything that we do in anything, like there's accountability to it too. Things don't just always happen to you, like you are a part of those things. Which is why my initial reaction was like the universe. We're so small.
Yeah. Any ritual or spell like that, it's really an opportunity for you to focus. And so like the same thing could happen in like a business strategy meeting where you're like doing workflows and brainstorming and creating PowerPoint presentations, but
Yuck.
like lighting a green candle and like casting a spell is so much more fun.
It is a lot more fun.
I should have talked to you earlier, because just in general, it seems like in the zeitgeist, conversations of manifestation and the universe and all that stuff are free flowing, right? Which when I was in my 20s or whatever, that was definitely not a thing. So I could see now where there is kind of more of an assumption that if you ask, you're going to get it. And I'm actually coming from the other side of like, it didn't really occur to me that I would get it other than by my own. Like if I need the aid of the universe, it's recognizing that I need it because I'm making the motion. I'm, creating that in my effort to do it myself. But I never thought about actually through intention asking for it. And what I'm thinking as you guys are talking is like, hey, we're talking about a practice.
I would say it's a little bit of integration too, right? So it's in everything, how you move through the world, like how you treat other people too. It's that old adage, like you treat others the way you want to be treated. So it's the same idea that like what you're putting out is what you're bringing in too. So I think that it's not just like a personal practice of what you do at home, but it's also like how you move through the world, because it's like the same thing as water flow. We're like getting in that. That's a good way to illustrate that. It's how you're moving is what's happening around you, and then that comes back to you too. I'm also a water sign, so it's easy for me to describe things.
Yeah. So am I. Wait, are we all water signs?
What's your sign?
I'm a Pisces. You're both Scorpios.
Well, that explains it.
Yeah.
Look what I did.
And
I've comboed a couple of people that we got in the call, and I'm like, it might seem like the obvious reason that like, because I'm putting people together based on what I see as differences and not similarities. And so I'm kind of missing the similarities, or I wasn't aware of it at all. And so it's really interesting. Like, Tina, when you started going, like, it's interesting you asked me that because I've spent a lot of time in the woods. I was like, really? And then I'm like, oh, and then you're both Scorpios. Like, it's really funny because I'm aligned similar folks. And I love that this has turned into like for real, like witch corner. But it's not at all what like I expected or planned. And that's why I'm like, let me take this opportunity while you're both here to make this all about me for a minute and just ask some very specific Bridget questions. So, and I was immediately, Darin just told me he was a Scorpio, and I was like, I don't really know what that means. What does that mean that you're a Scorpio, Tina?
Oh man, first of all, we get a bad reputation.
We do.
And I am not helping the situation by arriving in all black, because that is another stereotype of the Scorpio.
I resisted putting on a black t-shirt. I specifically chose this hippie tie-dye thing. I have one.
I also want to say that if we're going to just talk about astrology for a little bit, it is important to think about, like, when they say the big three, it's not just your sun sign that defines you. There are all these different parts that go into you.
Oh, we're going to get into it now. What's your rising and your moon?
I'm a Gemini moon, which is why I love to yap and I can never shut up. And I am a Libra rising, which is why I want everybody to just get along and have a fun time. Is everyone okay here? Do we all feel
wow. I'm a Scorpio rising, and Taurus.
Oh, and Taurus. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I can't tell you like how many times like people have like found out I'm a Scorpio. They get this horrified look on. Like everyone's worst relationship was with a Scorpio.
With the Scorpio, yeah. Yes.
So I don't know what the sun and the moon inform. I am like astrology, like absent. I always say like I'm a Pisces raised by a Virgo. So the ways in which I don't show up as a Pisces, I actually show up as a Virgo. And that's just me being my mom because I'm my mother's daughter.
It would be interesting to see what your moon and your rising are, because one of those could be a Virgo or an Aries. That would be an interesting thing to see given what you've just shared.
And it's what time you were born and where? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I just saw this comedian though that he was like, guess my sign, and all these people shout out in the audience, and he's like, yeah. And then he's like, you hear somebody go, I knew it, and then he goes, I was lying to you. So guess my sign again. So somebody guesses, and he's like, yeah. They say I knew it. And then he goes, I was lying again. Why don't these people understand that you can just like make it match whatever you want? So to bring this full circle, I think that astrology is yet another way to relate yourself to the world and the universe and the people around you, to find your understanding of self and how you fit into that bigger picture. And so it is funny because,
I totally agree with that. Yeah, it's just another it's another system of like learning about yourself. It's another set of data, but I don't think you should take anything too seriously. So the universe wants you to play.
For sure.
What does the universe want us to do? Tina, what does the universe want us to do?
Skip. Come back to me.
Okay. Darin, you said play. What else? What else does the universe want us to do?
I think it wants us to just express our authentic selves.
Yeah, I think that a lot of it is about learning ourselves. I think all of this that we've said, like, does the universe care about our money? Well, that's just one piece. We keep talking about like peeling back the layers.
Mm-hmm.
It's really like understanding who's inside this flesh vessel, right? Is like, who am I? A lot of people, when you ask them, who am I, they'll just parrot their name. And it's like, wow, we're so much more than just our name or our body. And I think that, but I think, again, like the universe wants us to understand who we are, because then that is what shapes the space we inhabit. That's my final answer.
That's a beautiful answer. Tina Marie, you did a beautiful job. Yeah. All right, you guys.
Bridget, you're wearing a black and white striped dress.
I am.
I totally like should have gone with my first hunch with what to wear.
No, this is part of
that. We'll fix it in post.
Yeah, luckily this is just an audio podcast. So.
You just wait till you see yourself in a muumuu with a watering can. I'm sure I could very easily find that on Facebook right now.
Probably.
Yeah, Darin in a muumuu with a watering can. I don't even think I made that up. Isn't there a Crocs photo where you're like, I'm finally introducing Crocs to the situation?
Better.
No.
No, I have the Merrill equivalent of Crocs.
Okay, all right.
They're much more stylish.
Okay, Scorpio.
I was just gonna say that. Okay. I hear myself in this comment.
They're males. Yeah. You guys, this has been great. Thank you so much.
And but I'm curious, what were our differences that you were like, oh, they're so different?
Oh, you know what? It's vibe. Some people it's very specific, because what I don't want is two people that are just alike. So beyond the fact that you don't know each other, you've never met, it's kind of like energy is kind of where I start. So also I have what I want to happen. And then it's like, okay, who's available Wednesday? Oh, you can do noon. So I also let the universe just let it
look
happen.
At that.
That's also gonna work.
You're already starting your practice, Bridget.
Yeah. But I do want to talk about, Tina, we're going to sidebar. I love your candle lighting ritual, and I need a couple of things like that. I realize, like, saying this stuff, I do feel very uncentered right now.
I think, like, just to give you like a quick overview of how that started is because I grew up so indoctrinated into like religion. My family is so religious. I'm like, what's that word? It was really hard for me as I started to like not grow out of that, but like realize those were things that I was told and maybe not things that I really related to anymore. But there were still these things that anchored me to it. And I was, you know, like you said, when things went wrong, the first thing I would do is like say, oh God. And I still do that, because I think that's still my perception of what something that's bigger than me is, what I call God. I just think about it differently. And in church, like lighting the candle, I think that was a thing that like made it so it changed the space in such a way that I was doing it with intention. Like anything that I do from this point after lighting this candle is like sacred in some way, even if it's just with me and for me, because I needed to come back to myself and figure out like what is for me, what is right for me. And so the candle is what started that. And then like my practice grew from there, the things that I'll explore or read or write, or like, you know, it's just about like setting your space for yourself so that anything that you do in that space, just like when you walk into church, you're like, okay, time to be quiet. It changes how you act in that space. And that's why the candle started it all for me, was like, okay, here's a thing that feels safe because it came from church. And now I can turn it into what I need it to be for me. So that's a little bit about how Tina got into witchcraft. It was all the candles.
Well, did you say your family was Catholic?
Oh man, we've had quite the run of things. We are Italian Catholic. My mom and dad divorced, and the Catholic Church doesn't grant divorce. So, or they didn't for my mom, so she left to go to the Presbyterian Church. Meanwhile, they sent me to Jewish school because it was the closest school in our neighborhood. So I was very confused. I was telling people I was Jewish for Jesus, which I didn't know was a thing because I was 5. Right. Anyway, we were in the Presbyterian Church for a while, and eventually my mom left for the Evangelical Church. And this was all in the Northeast. I didn't live in the South, so that was even more bizarre.
Your mom was checking them boxes, girl.
She loves the Lord. Loud and proud. And I love that for her, you know, like if that's what she needs. I believe that everybody should believe whatever they want. Like as long as it's not telling you to hurt me or other people, I think it's okay. But I think that like that's why I feel a little bit uncomfortable sometimes talking about my spirituality, because it seems so different than what I was indoctrined as a child to believe. And it's always going to be like a healing process of like, it's okay that I don't believe those things anymore, even if my mom tells me it's not.
I think it's nice to have something to go back to and pull pieces from. So like to me, it seemed like the normal, like just maturing process that just like, okay, at 18, 19, like you move out, you get your own apartment, you stop going to church. Like you know what I mean? It's, you leave all that stuff behind. And then, you know, when you hit that age where like life stops being just like fun, and you're like, oh, some of this just like living life kind of blows. Then you've got some stuff you can pull from that you still think has like a power. Like I love just going and sitting in a church for a couple of minutes. I don't need anybody to like, I've always had a romanticism around churches, and I've always thought they're really pretty, and I love rosaries and just all of that, like iconography. You know, Madonna just was like, what about this? And I was like, yes, girl.
There's a black velvet Jesus next to me right now. So, I mean, like, I just need you to know I haven't totally thrown it out.
Literally, the rosary I took off before I started recording. All right. So, and I'm not Catholic. So yeah, I just, to go sit in a church immediately calms me down. Right. And so that's like a cool thing to have that would not be, I don't think, true if I was raised with like nothing.
Well, it's creating a magical space. So really, like walking into a church or lighting your candle and some incense, like you are altering the space from your normal existence to say, you know, I am in a different place now, and it just facilitates a change in mindset, a change in perspective.
Totally.
Yeah. And it opens you up.
Yes.
Yeah. And
that's true. That's very true.
You need a shift, an opportunity to enter a space where you can just open yourself up and you're welcoming that. And so, going to a place of worship, like it's just dedicated in your mind and your subconscious, and all of it is like, this is the space
so that you can.
This is the space to do it in. It's funny too, like if it's not my religion, then it's like, I'm like, ooh, let's do it. Cause that sounds like fun and exciting. If it's not what I grew up with, I don't know. It's so weird. Like, cause I'm not anti-religion. I'm just like, nobody likes an asshole. So, that's just across the board.
Nobody likes an asshole.
Nobody likes an asshole. Don't be an asshole.
Sticker.
Don't be an asshole. And there you go. But I feel like I have found some answers.
I'm glad.
This has been awesome. It's great to meet you, Tina Marie.
You too, Darin. I hope I run into you again.
Shout out to this week's contemplative co-host, Darin. And thank you to my guest, Tina Marie. Darin and Tina had never met, never heard each other's names, or seen each other's faces before this recording.